Hello and welcome back to Space Engineers! So a brand new update has been released, and along with it, a brand new DLC pack. As per usual, what I've done is set up all the DLC items onto a lovely platform, and we can go through them one by one, so you can get a clear view of what they look like in-game, and with a few colour changes. So without further ado, we're going to start over here at the basic wall blocks before we go into the more fancier stuff. So the first one is the angled interior wall A, which is basically just a regular wall, but part of it has been cut out. These work very well for makeshift ladder shafts, or even just using it along the bottom of a wall or along the top of the wall, depending on what you want to do. So on the side we can see we've got a slight L shape, and at the bottom here we've got these lovely little bars for you to pretend to hold onto, as well as a few little air vents in the middle. If you want to look up this one, this is basically what it would be like if you were to walk through them. So you walk along like this, then around towards the back we were to come down to this one. That's all it looks like. It's just a nice little alternative to use in your base, in a ship, if you do want to use a bulky wall. So coming up to this one, this is basically identical to the other, but we've got a couple pillars to make it a bit more squarish. So along the middle here it is completely identical, but on the side, you can see we've got this little bar coming across and down. That's the only difference with this block. So it's just a nice little alternative if you want to use that, and you get a lot of use out of this. Anyway, moving across to this. Now this is a very useful block. This is a Inset light block, where it's a steel block with an interior light on it, but the interior light has been placed inside it, so it's now completely flush, and we can, if we need to, build in front of it, unlike a traditional setup where the light would be sticking out, and it would block anything in front of it, such as a planter or a chair, so it works very well for decoration, or just going along the ceiling if you have a small little ship with a tiny corridor that's only one block high. Yes, looking at the front, that's what it is, just a simple interior light, got a lovely grille in front of it, and a nice lot of detail. Move around onto the side, then towards the back of it. The back has got a nice lot of detail, a surprising amount of detail that you wouldn't normally see, to the point that you could use this as an actual wall block to simply hide the light behind it. Just coming up to it, we do have warning labels that says high pressure, and all the way up and looking down at it, there we are. Then coming back around to the front, over to the next one. These are some more decorative walls. These are called the Pipework Blocks, where they're basically like the ones at the front, who've got a couple of pipes that we can use as a modular system, or as well, a one-off decorative piece. So walking up to it and putting my light on, we've got two pipes along the bottom, two pipes along the top. Then in the middle, we've got a couple of pipes that just go nowhere, with a little yellow in the middle. With the free camera, we'll get a bit closer to this, because it does have a lot more detail on it, hidden behind a few pipes. So here are two pipes on each side. Looking down at it, all the way down here, even in this tiny little area, we still have plenty of detail on this block. It's very impressive. Anyway, grabbing hold of my character once again, we now walk around onto the side. This is what it looks like. And around towards the back. Not too much going on here. Then if we were to come all the way up, we do have a very small grill with a few pipes behind it if we were to get a bit closer. So it would make a nice bit of decoration if you don't want to use the front of the block. So you've got plenty of options with this. And that's kind of the thing with all these blocks in this pack. There are plenty of options to use the opposite side of the blocks, not the main side, for decorative purposes. Anyway, coming across to this is another pipework block, but this time we've got encased sides, where despite it being blocked off on the side, if you were to push it up to the one next to it, it will still look like a complete set, and would work very well for a long decorative path. Yes, coming all the way up to it, we don't have the little blue part or yellow parts in the middle, instead we've got another small grill with some more pipes behind it. Putting my light on for the moment. That's all we can see. Move around onto the side, so we've got a very different setup compared to that one. This one is very enclosed and could be used on the end if you don't want to have these pipes sticking out, or if you don't know how to cover this up. Round towards the back, not too much to talk about. Coming all the way up, we have the exact same as the other block. Moving across over to this one. Now these are absolutely fantastic. When I first saw these, I didn't actually know these had moving parts on them. I thought they were just straight decorative pieces. Yes, these are the access panels, and we've got 4 of them to go through. And like I said, they got moving parts on them, so we can open this up and reveal to us an actual access panel behind a panel. So we can now access this to what we want with this panel, and then once we're done, we can close it up, and it's nice and neat. Even if you don't want to use the panel behind it, they still make great decorative pieces put on a flat surface just to break it up and to make it look, well, a lot more fancier. Coming across to this one is also very good, where we can press this, and it just opens up the bottom. This would be very nice for a small vehicle if you want to, say, roleplay some maintenance work. We just need to come behind it, open up a panel, pretend you're doing a bit of wiring on that, and then you can just close up and go on your way. Coming a bit closer, we do have a bit of text that says danger. Then over to this part, looks like we do have some buttons to play with. but of course you can't actually interact with them. Pulling away and coming over to the next one, I was actually expecting this one to open as well, but no, we can open up this one and we get a big red button, which is supposed to be very good if you want to have an emergency exit on a hangar bay. You'd have this next to your general button panel, so in an emergency, you just open this, slam that big button, close up, and out you go. But as for this other panel, we can come up to it, we've still got a few knobs, a few lights on the inside, but once again, we cannot actually open this up. Moving across to this one, now this one's going to get the most use out of all of them I feel, just because there's nothing behind this. We can open up both sides independently, and you can have whatever you want behind it. So you can have a little secret access point to a cargo container, a little secret access point to say a programmable block if you want to. It's entirely up to you. And that's what I've done above it. What I've got is a small cargo container, where on the access panel on the front, I've slapped this on top of it. Now we can open this up, access cargo container behind it, and well, we don't even need to open up both sides. We can still access that, go inside, and once we're done, close it up. Of course, it doesn't actually seal it completely. You can't just come up to the corners. If I find a reticle, we can still access the cargo container on there. It is just there for decorative and role-playing purposes, but it does make it look very neat and, well, very nice, especially if you don't want to use a conveyor cap, which everybody gets access to, because that does seal off access to the actual cargo container. So there we are with that. It's just a very nice thing. Walk up to it, close it up. It's just an amazing little block. Anyway, up next, what we got are some fancy air vents, which are called the air vent fans. So they're just the regular air vents, where they just spin around with a lovely fan in the middle. We've got a grill in front of them, and they do look a hell of a lot more detailed than the vanilla fan. And that's what I've done up there. We've got a nice comparison. So this is the vanilla air vent, we're all used to this. And then below here is our air vent fan. It just looks so much better, so much cleaner, so much more, well, it looks like it's actually suited for a base, suited for a ship. And it gets even better because this update added full block air vents, so you no longer have those awkward air vents just sticking out, no longer having those awkward little floor pieces. You have to somehow jury rig an air vent inside it, walk on top of it. You can now actually build them into a wall, which is jolly good stuff. But yes, the base game gets a full-on air vent up there, and the DLC pack gets a full-on air vent fan, which is this one over here. Just coming around it, we do have our conveyor access points on the back, so it's identical to the old air vent and how it's all connected up. No changes with that, simply the front that looks a hell of a lot better. Now coming across to this is the only block in the pack that gives slightly more functionality than the base game can offer. It's called the top mounted camera, where if I was to get the free camera and come up to it, it's basically like a mini projector with a tiny little camera on the front. It behaves identical to the regular camera, but the way it sits means you don't have to have an odd triangle block and place the camera on top of it, and well, it's very good for small fighters. If you don't want to have a big bulky camera sitting on the front of it, you can now attach it onto the wings, attach it onto the base of the ship, without taking up too much room, or without having to actually build around the camera, because the regular camera can be quite awkward to place without making it look like an eyesore. So yes, that's what it looks like from the side, round towards the back, and on the opposite side, a bit closer at the front. It does look very good, and it is going to be exceptionally useful on a lot of ships, and can even go on large block grids, so it can be good for big bases or big ships. Anyway, yes, grab and hold my character once again. We come across to nearly the end of this video. We've got a bunch of warning signs for you to decorate your bases, decorate your ship, and will give important information to anyone on your structure. First one is warning hazardous environment. This one is airlock mechanism. Over to this one is 0G zone. And then we've got construction site. No atmosphere beyond this point. Landing area, ships, drones. A medical room, which can be very nice. And then over here we've got authorized personnel only. Visitors must be accompanied by a certified engineer at all times. Explosion danger, no fire, no sparks, watch out. This one is storage area. And of course we've got another medical sign which says safety first. Accidents are avoidable. We have had 0 days without a clang incident. And of course to always wear your protective equipment. Over to this one, no access. Automated turrets beyond this point. Trespassers will be shot. I feel like these are all going to be very useful for a custom scenario, just to allude to what's going to happen in the following rooms. Anyway, this one is noticed, offer changes over times, and it is a trading station. No weapons allowed within this station. So we see we've got cargo goods in exchange for space credits, which is supposed to be nice for a custom trade station. Then of course we come over to here. This is called the Automaton Sensor, which is basically just a fancy sensor. I don't really use these blocks too much, so they don't really mean too much to me. But if you do want to have something that looks a little bit different than, say, the traditional sort of roundish one, well, here it is. Moving across to this, now this I absolutely love. This is the Automaton's Programmable block, where instead of having that big bulky block like the one sitting next to me, you instead have a little server rack, which will fit very nicely with an armory locker or even just a corner locker. Let's find it in here so you know what I'm talking about. These blocks right here, the armory locker and the regular locker, you can now have these all connected up and it'll look very neat on a ship or on a base. Now walk up to this, we got two little access panels on the top there to actually do your traditional programmable block stuff. Then all around it, we got these lovely little server racks which do have a small bit of light on them. So in the complete dark on this side, you can see there is a little glow from the red, the white and the green. But yes, you can't interact with any of these. It's simply the panel at the bottom and the top. Then coming inside it is just your traditional programmable block setup. Anyway, moving across to this is the Automatons time block, which does look a hell of a lot better than the base game time block. It actually looks like it's suited to be on a fancy ship or on a fancy base, and it does kind of put the old block to shame. So it works as you expect. When you set the timer, it will start to blink it. And if I was to just say, put a little timer on there, let's go and trigger that now. If you were to come onto the design, if you did not want to have this part showing on your ship, you do have this, which also blinks, which I do absolutely love. This will be fantastic to have built into a wall. So instead of having that horrible little blinking square on the old traditional time block, you then have this, which will work very well just hidden away in the wall. It's very nice, very decorative by itself, and well, you can get a lot of use out of this even if you don't want to use it as an actual time block. Coming around towards the back, we then have the same as what we've got on the front without the access panel. Then on the side, exact same as what we just saw. Then on the top, not too much to talk about. Moving over to this, now this is a funny little thing that's more for the AI to actually, say, convey emotions, and that's why it's called the emotion controller. So you can have an AI that's quite sassy, can change its faces depending on what you do, depending on where you go, or what's going on in the surrounding areas. At the front here, we've got an LCD screen with our lovely little face on the front. On the side, we have an access point where we come inside it and change what it can do. So we can change the colors, we can change it to just display like crosses and stuff on the front, or we come all the way down to the bottom where we have all different faces we can do. So it was to angle the camera correctly so we can see just about see the front and still access that. I have to do. Now come all the way down and we change the state to sleepy, suspicious left, suspicious right. We've got wink, sad, neutral, love, happy, evil, dead, and crying. If I come up to get crying working, there we go. I haven't actually played around with this, so I don't really know how to go through and set this up properly. But there is that if you want to use it. Coming around towards the back, there we go. Again, some nice detail on here. And once again, like all the other blocks, you can use this just for decoration, even if you don't want to use the front of the block. Yes, onto this side, we don't have any kind of panels to play with. Over onto the top, again, a nice lot of detail. Moving all the way down, now these are absolutely fantastic for small block vehicles. These are the saddle cockpits, which, well, you can make quad bikes, you can make hover bikes. These are absolutely perfect for them, and they come in two different flavors. So we've got one that sits across 3 blocks, which is very nice for a central design. Then we've got one that is slightly off-kilted, where it sits on 2 blocks, and that's very nice if you want to have a more compact design. Coming up to this, we've got the usual access panel on the front and below it, and of course one behind it. The compact one does not have any access panels on the front or the back, and well, they're basically the same, just a little bit smaller. Hopping onto this, bring the free camera over so we can get a better look at what's going on with it, all the way across, and that's how the engineer sits on it. So it's basically just a quad bike seat, and you get a lot of use out of this for a very small fighter, or a small land vehicle, depending on what you want to do. Coming under here so you can actually see below it, there's our access point, onto the other one, and there we go, no access point on this one. So I suppose this one next to me would be more for, say, driving around on a battery-powered vehicle. This one would be more for a hydrogen-powered vehicle, but you can use it however you want. Coming over to this one is basically the same, just a little bit smaller, and we do have some lovely pedals down here that you put your feet onto. Looking around the model, we do have a little bit of detail here and there. In first-person view, looking down, there's our handles. We see our little switches on each side. And below us, we do have 2 LCD screens to customize. We've got our power and hydrogen, and of course, our meters per second. Anyway, hopping out of this and coming over to the last part of this video, this is the skin we get. It's called a plastic skin. Quite hard to tell the difference between this and the skins we already got when it's set up like this, but it does give a more vibrant color compared to the other skins. Bringing the free camera up to it, we do have the usual little bumps and scrapes all the way along it. Very easy to see on the black, not too much on the brighter colors, but that is simply what it looks like. It was to turn the whole platform to a different color so we can get a better view of what's going on with all the different blocks. Simply come over to this section. Oh, my damn is turned off. All the way over to here, and I think we'll go for a lovely, let's go for a lovely red color, make sure it's on plastic, and we're going to make the whole platform go the same. And there we go, that's a lot better example. Should have done this instead of what I did at the end. We'll get these lovely black almost like dividers going all the way across it. We've got vents, we've got little rivets here and there. Well, walking across it is very vibrant, very bright, and does affect the blocks quite nicely. Whether they change the colour to something else, let's say a green, that'll do. I think I just hit default on that. Let's go back to that. Go and put that down. There we go. We're to make it a bit darker. There we are. It's just a nice little skin, a nice alternative to have if you want to use it. Now, also to bring the free camera over, we can see there is a nice bit of detail. There is some darker and light patches all over these blocks, make it look like it does have a bit of wear and tear, or it's been used like a warehouse floor. And that is that for this video. It's an absolute fantastic DLC pack that I would rate up there with the original decorative block DLC pack, considering so many blocks have double functions on them that you could just use for decorative purposes, just use it as a alternative wall block. And of course you've got some lovely use, especially out of these panels here. I absolutely love these blocks, especially the one that you can use to hide stuff behind and open up to basically reach inside and grab it. But yes, that's that for this video. I hope it was helpful and hope it was useful, and I'll be back with another video some point soon. Bye bye.